States are ramping up their vaccine rollout since President Joe Biden directed all states to make every adult eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine beginning May 1st. In Arizona, for example, all residents 16 years old and above can get vaccinated beginning this week. Our very own Samuel Burke is in Phoenix, Arizona, and he joins us live. Samuel, one person gets vaccinated every 10 seconds in Arizona. And you got your second dose this week. Share with us that experience.
Rico, it really feels like a dose of freedom. It's treated much like a drive-through if you were going through McDonald's in Arizona, because we all have cars. And so I went through, and I have to tell you, I was a little bit arrogant. After the first shot, I felt great, and I didn't think that anything would be wrong after the second shot, and it really hit me like a ton of bricks. I had to go to sleep just a little bit after I filmed what you were seeing. And it's really an incredible feeling, though, once you have the vaccine. I've had 2 doses of Pfizer. So after a long nap, I'm feeling pretty strong again.
Oh, that's so good to know, because here in the country, in 25 days, we've only had 508,000 Filipinos inoculated. And just yesterday, Samuel, we received 400,000 more Sinovac vaccines from the mainland this past week, and companies like San Miguel Corporation are setting aside $1 billion pesos to vaccinate their more than 70,000 employees, which is a true dose of hope for so many people to protect them against this deadly virus. And what we are seeing in Arizona is indeed a process that inspires our friends at San Miguel. How are the cases of COVID-19 in your state, given this amazing rollout that we're seeing?
Well, we are seeing cases starting to drop here, although in some places they're seeing that when the vaccine isn't going as well. So it's hard to know exactly what's the result of the vaccine or just changes in the waves. But overall, everything is heading in the right direction. And I have to tell you, more than the numbers, Rico, both of my parents have already been vaccinated. That's why I was able to come back to my home here in Phoenix and see my parents. We've had dinners without masks on with my parents' friends who are senior citizens. So, of course, they've been vaccinated first. Some of my friends are educators, and so they've had their vaccine because they're on the priority list. So to sit around a dinner table with my parents' friends and my friends, no masks on, not worrying because they're fully vaccinated 2 weeks out from having the second dose of Pfizer is an incredible change. It's almost as surreal as it was to put on masks a year ago and be separated from our loved ones. It feels just as surreal to all of a sudden have it change. But when I saw you post on social media visiting your father on your birthday and you both had masks on, it did make me feel that even though things are going so well in Phoenix, that there's still a long distance to go for so many countries, including our friends in the Philippines.
Absolutely. My dad is 93 years old, and I'm sure it will take quite some time before he gets immunized. And I'm so glad that your parents have been inoculated back in Phoenix, Arizona, Samuel. You head back to London, where you are based. What is the situation there right now?
The situation is going very well, but it's a completely different approach. They're making a huge space between the first dose and the second dose, whereas here in Arizona, you can get them in 21 days back to back the way I did. So yes, lots of people are getting the vaccine, but it's really an experiment. They're not doing what was recommended by the studies. They're going against the way the clinical trials were done, but it does appear to be working. Cases are dropping dramatically there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the European Union, because they're trying to block shipments of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is really made in the European Union and being shifted to the UK. So there is a little bit of anxiety and unease from a lot of my British friends thinking, what can I do to jump the queue, to jump the line there in the UK, because they're worried they won't get the vaccine. Whereas here in Phoenix, as you said, already people 16 years old and older now are getting the vaccine. So it looks like it's a clear shot ahead for us here, whereas in the UK, it could become quite tricky as the European Union, their close neighbors, really suffer. I mean, we are talking about people who are senior citizens. My in-laws, one of my mother-in-law doesn't even have the vaccine yet, and she's in her 80s. So it's a tricky, dicey situation on the continent there.
Samuel Burke, glad that you've been inoculated already with the second dose of Pfizer. Thank you so much for joining us from Phoenix, Arizona.